And nobody starts telling these kids at 12 and 13, respect.
So people ask me all the time, they're like, well, why don't you take these kids under your wing and like teach them and tell them? I'm like, we are in a completely different era now. Like there is no fixing what we've got going right now with everybody running over everybody. They would much rather crash than win a race. I don't get it.
Yeah.
People think it's okay to dive into the last corner and take somebody out. People think it's okay to make it 6 wide where it should be 2 wide. You know, people think it's okay. And they think the fans love it and they think it's okay, but it's not okay.
Had a last lap pass, 54 in charge.
In recent years, there's been more and more discussion about the racecraft of the current crop of young drivers. And at Martinsville, it boiled over.
Sammy Smith is there. Justin Allgaier is there.
Oh!
Will there be contact? There is. There goes Gray. Here comes Allgaier. Austin Hill out of nowhere. It's going to win.
Oh my goodness.
Martinsville. Do you believe that? With a huge crash at the start-finish line.
The following day, NASCAR said they would be investigating Smith's actions. I'm recording this on a Monday, so if the number 8 is on the penalty report tomorrow, I'll add in my reaction to it. This has been a growing problem in recent years, and I think NASCAR is in a predicament now where they must do something about it. The drivers can justify it by saying it's just hard racing, but wrecking isn't racing. And while NASCAR's inconsistency with penalties may not provide the correct punishment, it doesn't make the crime any less severe. And if you look on social media, many bring up the same 4 points to try to justify it. And I'm here today to provide counterpoints. Almost always when an incident like this happens, you hear this one, although it might be worded just a little bit differently. It was fine when Kenseth did it, when Denny did it, when Kyle Busch did it, when Logano did it. The list goes on. At Richmond last year, people were very quick to jump on the people loved when Earnhardt did it point, simply because the aggressor was driving the RCR number 3. Regardless, it doesn't matter who does it. If you drive through someone, it's wrong. And when I say drive through someone, I'm not talking about a bump and run. I'm talking about this.
There, Justin Allgaier is there.
Oh!
Will there be contact?
Yeah, well, the son of a bitch just slammed into me!
No, he didn't slam into you, he didn't bump you, he didn't nudge you, he rubbed you. And Rubbin's son is racing.
Is Days of Thunder an iconic movie? Yes. Was this quote ever a synonymous quote with NASCAR before the movie's release? No, but it is now. And while many associate the quote with NASCAR racing, rubbing someone is not the same as wrecking. This is not the same as this. Racing is a contact sport. It's inevitable. There's an old saying as far down as your local short tracks. If you don't want anyone getting into you, you might as well keep it on the trailer. On the topic of short tracks, that brings me to the next point.
Short track racing.
Out of all the points that get mentioned, this is probably the one you hear the most. Yes, there's more contact on short tracks than there are anywhere else. With contact comes pissed off drivers. And on a track where there's nowhere to hide, you might be paid back if someone gets to your bumper. However, there is a very clear line between hard racing and wrecking someone, and no series puts that in black and white better than the Cars Tour. Example 1, the Cars Tour late model stock feature at Franklin County Speedway in 2022. Mike Looney tried for 95 laps to get around Connor Hall. He tried to use the bumper multiple times, but Hall held him off. That was until a restart with 32 to go. After working him over for 2 laps, Looney clears him off of turn 2. Mike wouldn't have the lead by the time they reached turn 4.
Looney finally gets underneath and around Connor Hall.
Crossover, will it make contact?
No! Contact in front of the field.
Now Connor, after initiating contact, was sent to the rear of the field as a penalty. In the Cars Tour, if you spin someone out and the race director deems the contact as avoidable, you get sent to the rear. Simple as that. It's black and white with no gray area. In 2024 at Hickory, Hall would be battling for the win with Ryan Millington in the closing laps. Connor gets loose underneath him in turn 3 as they head to the white flag, and they make contact. Entering turn 1, Ryan tries to move him but doesn't complete the move. With one last chance at the win, He sails it off into turn 3, and he might have only had the intention of moving him. However, he sends Hall around and takes the win. But the race director deemed the move as penalty worthy, and disqualified Millington, handing the win to Ronnie Bassett Jr. A penalty like this was given out just last week at Wake County. Millington cleared himself off the nose of Landon Huffman and got turned around, and Huffman got sent to the rear as a penalty. The Cars Tour shows that it's more than possible to make these types of calls. Are they perfect? No. They're human just like everyone else, and humans make errors every day. But in instances like these, they got it right. They didn't give the other driver a bump and move them up a lane. They turned the guy, and the race director called it. It's not at all uncommon for this to happen at short tracks across the country. What is preventing these calls being made at stock car racing's highest levels? Well, there may be an answer to that. I'll give everyone bringing up this point this. Over the last few seasons, a shift has taken place in NASCAR racing. They may be a racing league, but they are, without a doubt, in the entertainment business. At face value, this isn't a bad thing. All sports are in the entertainment business in some form. However, this 2019 Auto Week article by Matt Weaver sums up the problem in the first sentence. Once a discipline in the entertaining sport business, NASCAR now seems intent to shift ever closer towards something best described as sports entertainment. This was regarding the low horsepower, high downforce package in 2019. NASCAR President Steve Phelps stated that NASCAR was looking for the most entertaining racing product possible. If that meant wide open, full throttle racing, then so be it. 6 years later, NASCAR has doubled down and even tripled down on that statement. They now have a cup car that's down on horsepower, more aero dependent than ever, and wider tires than ever, giving the cars more grip in the corners. Wide open and full throttle is what NASCAR is today. The playoffs, the overtimes, the stages, well, it's all in the name of entertainment. With all that being said, the NASCAR executives aren't the ones holding the steering wheels of these race cars. As I was typing this out, Gary Owen uploaded an episode of his podcast titled Stop Blaming NASCAR and Start Holding Drivers Responsible. And that's exactly it. NASCAR having a playoff format didn't cause Sammy Smith to drive into turn 3 from 2 car lengths back and dump Taylor Gray. It happened because that's the culture of the new breed of NASCAR talent. The young drivers today were hearing boys have at it as kids, and as they've grown older, they've driven with that same mentality. And this didn't just become a problem, it's been forming for years. Ty Gibbs at Martinsville, Hocevar at IRP, Hocevar at Richmond, Hocevar at... well, you get the point. The young drivers today seem to have a case of Vickernism, ironically something that started in Martinsville as well.
It's becoming clear. Once a person is afflicted with Vickernism, he loses all control of his actions. Hey, Steve, watch this.
5 positions of each other right now.
Oh, and he spins him.
While I am putting the blame more on the drivers, NASCAR still has a role in this growing problem with their inconsistent penalties for these types of moves. Suspensions this time and the next, making fans believe that a precedent will be set. Then only a fine and a points penalty for this. And this time we'll give you a fine and points penalty, but your win won't count towards the playoffs. And this time, well, we just won't do anything. To end this, I do need to clarify some things. I said earlier, racing is a contact sport, and these things will happen. There will be plenty of instances in the future where a driver will make a mistake and unintentionally wreck someone. A failed bump and run attempt will happen, and someone will spin out. But what needs to change is outright cleaning someone out for no real reason other than the mindset of,
if you're not the one doing it, someone's going to do it to you, and everyone's going to dog on me, and I'm not proud of that, but at the end of the day, it's what you got to do. So,
Hey, it's Ace.
Until next time, I'm Jesse King. I'm sorry you had to listen to my opinions, and I'll see y'all around.